H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.
Okay, so today the topic which we are going to learn today is on JDBC. Okay, so we'll see what is JDBC, what is the use of it, because it is very important to understand JDBC, because when you talk about Hibernate or any of your ORM tools which we are going to talk about in the upcoming sessions, you need to have a basic understanding of what a JDBC is. Okay, now what is JDBC? It is nothing but your Java database connectivity. Okay, so the JDBC API is a Java API that can access any kind of tabular data, especially data stored in a relational database. Okay, so when you talk about a relational database, you talk about your MySQL, you talk about Oracle, you talk about DB2, or any relational database you can talk about. Okay, so usually you have your SQL queries, right? So you usually use your SQL developer. Likewise, if you see here, this is my SQL developer, and this is actually already installed Oracle. Okay, so I hope okay, all right. Now before even getting into JDBC, the very first requirement of this session is you need to install Oracle. Okay, so in order to install Oracle, you can very well go to your Oracle website. Oracle.com, and under your downloads you can use your MySQL. Otherwise you can use your Oracle database. In your Oracle database there are different versions of the database present. You can either choose your 12 or 11. So in my machine I have got 11G release. Okay, so this is a free one. You can use it. This is just your Oracle XC. Okay, that is your you can basically install it in your machine.
Adam, can you share your screen, please?
Oh, my screen is not visible. Sorry, folks. Okay, is it good now? You guys are able to see? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, what I was saying is you just go to your oracle.com and click on the downloads, and in your downloads you will be having MySQL, or you can even have your Oracle database. In your Oracle database you have different versions. These are all your not commercials ones. You can use it in your own machine, so that you can just do it for your own practice. Okay, so you better use your Oracle 11G Express Edition, that is your Oracle XC. Okay, all right, so Oracle XC download for Linux, X and Windows here. So you can click on here and you can download accordingly. All right, so once you download, you can very well install, you can install it by clicking on the exe, and that gets installed basically. Okay, and the other thing is once your Oracle database has been installed, it is something like a service which will be available to you whenever you start your machine. Okay, now when I talk about services, you can, if you are having Windows 7 or Windows 8, you can basically go to the services, and if you see Oracle, so you will be having your Oracle Service XC running, Oracle XC TN Listener running, and yeah, so these two are the important things which will be running in your system. Okay, so that means you are going to run your Oracle, you are installing your Oracle database, and you are running a particular service so that you can connect to the database. Okay, now how do you connect with the database? We will see from the Java application. Okay, before even having a Java application, let's say you don't want Java application, you just want to go and talk to the database, or you want to just query some information from the database. So how do you do that? You basically need some kind of tool. Okay, if you are pretty much good with your SQL Plus. You can even use that SQL Plus, but I will just show everything in your a particular tool here. So the tool which I'm using is nothing but your SQL Developer. Okay. Help about, if you can see, this is your SQL Developer. The version is your 4.0.1.14. So the same thing also, you can even download it from the Oracle database, sorry, Oracle website. Just to go to your Oracle and just say downloads, and in your downloads you will see the ID over here, developer tool, that is your SQL Developer. Okay, so you can choose this one, and depending on your operating system you can install that accordingly. All right, so you still have an option, either if you are not comfortable with your installing your Oracle XE, you can even install your MySQL also. Okay, so MySQL initially it was, I mean, it is also a database. Okay, it's a very lightweight database. You can even install that and you can do your work as well. Okay, I would suggest you can go with your Oracle XE, which I have told already in the session, because already when you talk about Oracle XE, there are some predefined tables which are already present, so that you can directly use that for your query on and your practice purpose. So when I talk about some predefined predefined tables, that means if you see here, I have actually from my SQL Developer connected to the Oracle database. Okay, and in that, if you see, there is a schema known as HR. Now, schema is nothing but you're basically separating a list of tables. Okay, so here in this case, I'm talking about an HR schema, and under HR schema, you have got bunch of tables out here. Okay, so we'll be talking about your employees table, employee and job history, job location, blah blah blah. Okay, so as of now we'll be only talking about your employees table, and the main purpose of this particular session, yeah, Toad is also okay. Florence, I mean, I think you are already a SQL developer. You can use anything as such. Okay, and even you can use Eclipse also. Eclipse has got its own, if you see this, just say Control-3 and just say data source explorer. So with the help of your Eclipse also, you can connect. Eclipse is giving you some plugins, so with the help of that also you can basically connect to the database. Okay, so we are not going to use Eclipse here. We will be just using your SQL Developer because Toad is Toad for MySQL is a freeware. Okay, you can use Toad for MySQL, which is a freeware, but Toad for Oracle is not a free one. Okay, so you have to buy that. So better if you want to use your MySQL, you can go with your Toad for MySQL. Okay. All right. So let's start up the basic topic. All right. So what is JDBC? JDBC API is a Java API that can access any kind of Tableau data, especially data stored in a relational database. All right. Now, JDBC stands for nothing but your Java database connectivity. JDBC works with Java on variety of platforms such as Windows, Mac, and various versions of your Unix as well. All right. Okay. Now, what is JDBC? JDBC nothing is it stands for Java database connectivity, which is a standard Java API for database independent connectivity between Java programming language and a wide variety of database. Okay. So you are basically using your JDBC in order to connect to different kind of databases. Okay, so we'll see how to connect to different databases. If you have different databases, what all things you need to use, we'll see that. Okay, the JDBC library includes API for each of the tasks commonly associated with the database usage, making a database connection. So what do you do basically using your JDBC? You basically establish a connection. That means whenever you want to talk to the database. The way, if you remember, when we talk about the file operations, before even getting hold of a file, you just create an instance of the file, right? So when you create an instance and then you give it to to a stream so that you can read it, right? So you're basically creating a connection between your program to your file. Okay, the same thing out here. You're basically making before even getting hitting the database or before even querying the database, you're supposed to query the database. You are supposed to get a connection between your database and your Java application. Okay, so you're supposed to make a connection, create a SQL or MySQL statement. So as you know, when you talk about your SQL or MySQL, the SQL queries are a bit different. Okay, it's all the same, but there are a few things which are different. Okay, I think yeah. and then when you create the query, so here in this case, when I talk about a database, I just say select staff from employees, right? So after creating this query, this is my query in which I will be able to talk to the database, okay? And I can fetch the table information of your employee table. So when I do this, I have to run this query also, right? So I have to click on this. The same thing when in your Java application also we'll do the same thing. Once we create a query, we will run that query as well. Okay. Now view and modifying the result record. So if you want to do some manipulation, I can do some updates out here. Okay, I can do an update, I can do some deletes and whatnot. I can do in my proper schema. All right. So the same thing, all the operations which we can do it is using your SQL developer or maybe your SQL plus. Okay, so the same operations I can even create a procedure, I can invoke a procedure using my SQL developer also. Okay, guys, if you have any basic questions as of now, please shoot out your questions so that you don't get confused with these terms like SQL developer or Oracle. What is an Oracle? So it's again a database, as you know. Okay. And what is the role of your tool here? I can use any kind of tool. This is one tool I'm using in particular, okay? Because this is a free one, and as I'm using my Oracle XE, I just need to use this. All right. So what next? JDBC architecture, Java architecture consists of 2 layers basically. So we'll see these layers. We'll just cover up this theoretical part, and in practical we'll even see that. Okay. So just bear with me.
Jairam, if I can just ask a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I? Okay. I want to know whether this the developer, we can use only MySQL in this developer.
I'm sorry.
In the developer, you said we have to
SQL
download
developer.
the developer. SQL developer. So we use only MySQL in this developer?
No, see. Okay, let me.
I don't have any background of
okay.
IT, so
no problem. I'll just explain you that. Please. Not a problem. Okay, so this is a database. Okay, this is the database which I installed. That is your Oracle XE. This could be your Oracle, or this could be your MySQL, or this could be your DB2. There are different databases also. Okay, and yeah, so let's talk about these databases. So this particular database could be any of these 3 databases. Okay, now when you talk about Oracle, when you install Oracle, it will give its own Oracle tool where you can query the Oracle database using a command line itself. So when I talk about command line, so it will be something like you have your command prompt. I have to execute this query from here. Before that, you have to connect to the database also. Okay, which we are now going to see that as well. Now, usually what happens when you execute the query in a command prompt, you cannot save that particular query. But let's say you have 10 different queries. Yes, Madhu, it is MySQL server. Okay. So if there are 10 different queries, you cannot save those queries here. So basically you will tend to use a IDE. Sorry, it tend to use a tool here. Okay. Now the tool, it stands out somewhere here. Sorry. So the tool stands somewhere out here. So with the help of this tool, okay, what we are going to do is we are going to hit this particular, sorry, what is this? We are going to hit this particular database. Okay, so as I said, if you want to use a command line command prompt, you can do that, but it is a bit tedious. Okay, so what are we going to do is we are going to use some kind of tool. Here in this case, my tool is nothing but your SQL developer. Okay, you can even use your Toad also. Toad is a commercial one basically. Okay, so with the help of this tool, what you are going to do is you are going to do the same operation. You are just going to query the database out here. Okay, now this is only applicable. This entire portion is applicable only for your database, guys. Let's say if you talk to Florence right now, she is part of our session here. they never go to any Java application. They either use Toad, they either use SQL Developer, or they use some XYZ partner, XYZ tool also. Okay, so they are happy because they're only they're a database guys, and they only use some tools in order to talk to the database. Okay, but right now, see, only having the database does not make any sense for me. Okay, somebody has to access it, right? So maybe when we talk about your UI application down the line, we'll see how to access this, right? So let's say you have your Java application out here. So this is my Java program. I'm writing all my Java program. As of now, we are only talking about the core Java functionalities because this is what we are supposed to learn in the initial stage. Down the line, you will make this as a page which will run in your web browser also. So this is a with the help of a Java program, entirely you will develop a web page. In that web page, you might be having some forms. Now, whenever I want to submit the page out here, okay. So what I'll do is when I do a submit, I want to basically send this data to the database, right? So how do I do that? I need some Java application in between. So this is my Java application. Okay. So this is my Java application. With the help of this, which I will actually query the database, or I will hit the database to save the information. Okay. In this case, I don't need SQL Developer. SQL Developer is nothing but just kind of a query which you do, or you want to create a procedure, you want to delete a table, you want to do some database operations. You can even do it, but this is more on the developer on the DBA levels. Okay. On a daily basis, also a Java developer, they use this. Okay, because whenever we'll see that how we will execute the query, and we'll write the query in the Java application before even writing the query in your Java application. Okay, so when I talk about let me just give you an example out here. I'm going to create a new Java project. Okay, one sec. Okay. So just to show you here, these are kind of the queries which we will execute in the Java application. Okay, just see this query. I say select star from employees where employee ID equal to so and so. The same query I can run it in my SQL Developer also. Select star from employees where employee ID equals to so and so. Okay, so this query we will execute from the Java application itself. Okay, so just stay tuned. You will understand all the things once before we even complete this session. Okay, I mean, can we work with Microsoft SQL Server using JDBC? You can do that, Madhu. Okay, you need to have your specific drivers for that. All right, SQL drivers, you need to have it. Okay, so as I said, you can basically hit any kind of database using a JDBC. The only thing is you need to have the specific classes which we will see it at this time. Okay, so this will be our first session wherein we will use different jar apart from using your regular jar file which is given by your Java folks. Okay, now let's just move on. Okay, so we'll in JDBC architecture, it consists of two layers. Basically, it is your Java JDBC API. This provides the application to JDBC manager connection. We'll see that. Don't worry if you do not even understand this. We have got a JDBC driver API which this supports a JDBC manager to driver connection. All right. The JDBC API uses a driver manager and a database specific driver to provide transparent connectivity to heterogeneous database. Okay, let me just slide this, skip this particular slide, and let us go back to some basic things, and then we'll try to understand those things as well. Okay, now if you see this typical diagram, there are different databases. You have got Oracle database, that's what I was showing you out here. You've got your Oracle database. The same way you can have MySQL or your DB2 or your SQL Server also. Okay, Now you have got Oracle, you have got SQL Server, you have got ODBC data source. This is we'll talk about this as well. Okay, so just think these are the layers wherein you have got all set of databases. Okay, now for each database you have got the JDBC drivers. All right, so we'll be using a JDBC driver, so which will basically talk to the database here. Okay, and in between your JDBC driver we will be having a JDBC driver manager, okay, which we are going to see that as well. And on top of that we will be having our JDBC APIs, okay, and then we'll be having a Java application. So as a developer we will start from here, wherein we will write our Java programs. We'll use a JDBC APIs. So when I say API, if you remember when we spoke about some kind of calculation program in our previous session, I used a method in that, add, right? So already a method is defined as add. I'm just using that API, right? So in any of the program, let's say any program you write in your core Java, if you want to do calculation of two numbers, you just invoke that API saying add and just pass two numbers, right? Your work is done. I mean, you just need to invoke that. Okay, the same way JDBC, when we start using JDBC, there are some predefined APIs which we are going to use those APIs in order to query the database or in order to update the database. Okay, now again those APIs internally they talk to the JDBC driver manager, and driver manager takes care of your talking to the actual database. Okay, so this is your typical diagram when you talk about your architecture of your JDBC. Okay. Now, as I said, you have got your driver manager, we have got a driver, we have got a connection, we have got a statement, result set, and SQL exception. Okay. As of now, if you understand, when we spoke about IO, we have got a lot of IO exceptions. Now, the same way SQL has got its own bunch or own set of SQL exceptions also. Okay. So we are bound to use those exceptions as well. All right. So result set is nothing but, I'm just going from backwards. Okay. Result set is nothing but when you say select star from employees. Okay, so when you say select star from employees, what do you get? You get a set of results, right? So let's say here in this case I got a set of results, that is your 107 rows I got. Okay, so each row is nothing but an entity. Okay, so just familiarize yourself with the term entity here, because this is what we're going to talk from now. When I say select star from employees, I get 1,000 rows. That means I got 1,000 entities. Okay, so in your database world, or when you talk about your advanced Java courses, when we speak about Hibernate, or let's say your MyBat it's again an ORM tool. So you'll be basically talking about entities. Okay, so when you say select star from employees, you are getting some information. Okay, now the same sort of information we are going to fetch it from the Java application. Okay. So these complete result is nothing but a result set for me. Okay, the same thing we are going to use it in our result set. Okay, so this is one which we are going to use it in our application as well. Okay, we will use Oracle database and MySQL server. No, Rashmi, will just use Oracle database. I'll just tell what are the steps you can use it, so you can very well go ahead and use your MySQL server also. Okay. You can use if you have any kind of database, you can still use it. So the procedure is all the same. The only thing is you need to have the database specific drivers in your machine, right? We'll come to those points. Now, when you talk about statements, you have to write the query in the statement. When you talk about connection, you have to establish a connection. When you talk about drivers, it handles the communication with the database server. Okay. And the database manager, this class manages a list of database drivers. Matches connection request from the database application with the proper database driver using your communication protocol. Okay, it also uses some kind of protocol which, with the help of that, it basically talks to the database. Okay, so what all operations you can do? You can do all kind of CRUD operations. You can create, you can read something, you want to update something, you want to delete something. So any operations you can do it using your JDBC. Okay. Now, just to clarify, there are folks who are the database developers. Okay, they are from the database background. You cannot. You can even write your own procedures. Okay, you can create a procedure also from your from your JDBC program, but you cannot have that procedure stored anywhere. Okay, when you talk about a stored procedure, right? So when you write a function or a procedure, you basically you write a stored procedure and you store that particular procedure in your database itself, right? Now the way when you say when you talk about your core Java, right? So when I say where is my calculation present, the person who are not from the database background, just giving you a high level description on what a stored procedure is basically. Okay. Now, when you say calculation, so calculation is particularly present in some package structure, right? So it is present somewhere in my package itself. The same way, there is a kind of a class, or I'll say kind of a program which will be stored in the database. So you can invoke that particular procedure. Now, for example, when I talk about calculation out here, I can invoke this particular calculation program from anywhere from the Java application. Okay. The same way when you see when you talk about calculation here, this calculation is let's say doing some addition here, right? So your responsibility is just to invoke this add value. That's all. You're done. You are not supposed to go and check into this particular implementation. What is an implementation? So this implementation is very simple. You can even do any kind of implementation here. The same way in your database, you have got a stored procedure which is very similar to this particular class, and it has got bunch of functions and stuff and all. You can basically invoke that particular procedure in order to do some kind of functionality. Okay, so which we are not even going to see into it. You need to have a good understanding. I mean, we can show you at this point of time how to invoke it. Okay, but in order to get a good hold of it, you have to very well go and do your Oracle course as well. Okay, now okay, so what all things you can do? You can do a select, update, delete, you can drop table, create table, drop database, you can create the database also. Okay, so these are operations you can do it using your JDBC. Okay, so let me just skip a couple of things. Now there are a couple of drivers in JDBC. So whenever you talk about how to talk about drivers, we'll be talking about type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. Okay, so here in this course of action we will only talk about your type 4, wherein we are going to talk about your 100% pure Java drivers. Okay, so but we'll just understand the concepts out here. What are the different concepts? Alright, so JDBC drivers, implementations vary because of the wide variety of operating systems and hardware platform in which Java operates. As you know, Java operates in different platforms. Now, Sun has divided the implementation type into 4 categories. So one is type 1, type 2, type 3 and type 4. Okay. So type 1 is basically your JDBC, ODBC bridge driver, okay, which uses your ODBC driver. Now, typically if you go and check your machine, if you just go to your start and just say ODBC, you will be having something like your ODBC data source of 32-bit or 62-bit. So if you just open this, basically this is a kind of an interface, okay, or a kind of a middle layer person who is actually going to take from your Java application. We are going to talk to this person, okay, or your data source. This data source is actually you're going to establish a connection with your database from here. Okay, so here I do not have my SQL details out here. Sorry, my Oracle details out here. You have got your SQL server. For example, here you have got your SQL servers. So you can basically connect from this particular application to the SQL server. It is something like, if I show you in picture. So you have your Java application. So, and then you will be having your JDBC ODBC bridge, and then you will be having your actual database here. So these are actual database. Now this, what you're going to do is you are first you are going to establish a connection. Okay, so from your Java application you are going to talk to your JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, so this is going to be your middle layer. All right, so the same way this is going to be your middle layer, which we are now going to see in this course of action. Okay, Now the second one is the JDBC native API, which converts into native C++ API calls. Okay, you basically need some libraries in order to connect to the database. Okay, so there is a type 2 driver. You don't basically need your JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, we'll see the architecture also in the upcoming slides. Now we have got the type 3 driver. That is a JDBC net pure Java drive. Use standard network socket to communicate. Now whenever you talk about your type 3 drivers, okay, we will basically have when we talk about your servers and stuff and all, therein we will try to configure these things. We'll make some arrangement in order to talk to those things. Okay, at this point of time, just remember that you have got a type 3 driver which you basically access to the database using some kind of servers. Okay. Now this is the most important in which you will be doing all the things. In most of the companies, they always use your thin driver itself. So that is a pure Java drive, a pure Java based drive that communicates directly. Okay, so when we talk about your type 4 driver, it directly communicates. There is no layer in between your Java application to your database. Okay, so let us see one by one couple of things. Okay, so this is a type 1 driver. If you can see the type 1 driver, you have got the Java application, you have got a bunch of JDBC APIs, and you have got your JDBC driver manager, and then you have got your JDBC ODBC bridge driver. Okay, and you have got your ODBC driver. So when you talk about this, the one which we have seen right now, okay, your data source, and then from your JDBC ODBC drivers, they are going to have some database library APIs from where they are going to connect to the database. Okay, so there are a lot of layers in between connecting to the database to your Java API. Okay.
Jairam, one quick question.
Yep.
So every vendor, database server vendor, will provide type 4 JDBC drivers.
Yes, you will be having, for every vendor, they will be having their own specific drivers. Okay.
Type 4 driver.
Yes, type 4 drivers.
All right.
Okay. Yeah, we'll see that, because when we are going to use a bunch of APIs right now, depending on the particular databases. Now, when you talk about JDBC native API, you basically remove one layer out of it. Okay, if you see this, you have got database library APIs, which is again specific to your database itself. Okay, and here in this case, if I just expand this particular.
H2K Infosys provides world-class online IT training, staffing, and software testing solutions to customers worldwide. H2K Infosys, how we are different from our competitors. 100% job-oriented training, hands-on project work, cloud test lab, resume preparation and review, mock interviews, robust syllabus, one-time fee and lifetime access to classes, access to recorded sessions of live classes. H2K Infosys has won the trust of thousands of students worldwide. For a free demo class, visit us at h2kinfosys.com.